One of the benefits of working in a multi-clergy parish is having wonderful friends and colleagues who are also preachers to bounce ideas off of. And I was excited this week to share my kernel of an idea for a sermon with Jessica as we were working on getting things ready for this weekend's vestry retreat. I said, I'm going to preach on one of my favorite passages, and it just so happens to be in this Sunday's gospel. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. I like this verse so much that I have Matt 5:16 engraved on my emergency contact watch band that I use when I'm riding my bike. As I was explaining what I thought was a brilliant, unique, wonderful take on this verse, Jessica starts, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine." Of course, there is nothing new under the sun, as Ecclesiastes says. My brilliant novel idea for a sermon is better encapsulated by one of the most well-known children's hymns. So if you want the too long didn't read version of today's sermon and want to go back to daydreaming about the Seahawks beating the Patriots in the big game tonight, know that on the front end, the whole point of my sermon is, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. But for the rest of you, I invite you to look at what it means to let our light shine before others. We are in the 5th Sunday of after the Epiphany, a season, as Barclay has often emphasized, is all about opening our eyes to see God all around us. And it's no wonder we like celebrating Epiphany at St. Mark's. We are Epiphany people. But eyes respond to light. That's what eyes do. At the end of the day, they are the parts of our body that take in photons of light that bounce and reflect off of different objects and make sense of the world around us. In a very real sense, we open our eyes so that we can see light. So the corollary to opening our eyes to see God at work is Matthew 5:16. You see? Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. God's spiritual light has to bounce and reflect off of something for our eyes to see. Sometimes that's the grandeur of nature, the awe of the stars, the wonder of our pets. But by and large, the spiritual light our open eyes see comes from other people. It comes from our community. And so, just as important as opening our eyes, we've got to be shining too, and shining for God. There are very few ways, they're not very few, they're actually quite a lot. There are few ways that we can miss the mark when shining for God. Hide it under a bushel? No, I'm going to let it shine. Of course, the easiest way not to let our light shine is to hide it. We all have gifts and skills, talents that we are particularly and uniquely good at, but we can stifle those God-given gifts. Maybe we're scared to be seen, scared to share those gifts. Shining is vulnerable work. Too often we hide under the bushel while putting up masks and personas. Instead of letting our light shine, we throw up false flares of what we think other people want to see. It may look like shining, but it's not. You see, community can't grow around our masks and our personas because genuine connection cannot happen. Any connection that's being made is with those masks and not with the child of God hiding their light in the bushel basket. Another way we miss the mark has less to do with shining and more to do with why we are letting our light shine. Sometimes we shine so that we can get the glory and attention. Our ego says, hey, look at me. Our egos are moons that think they are the sun. They think they are the source of the light, not reflections of God's light. So we go about shining, seeking words of affirmation and attention. We want to feel accepted and like we belong. We want to feel like we matter and are important. Our egos are using tried and true skills that they've learned to protect and secure those feelings, so we shouldn't be too hard on them. But it's important to know that we do some silly at best and damaging and destructive at worst things when we are shining for ourselves alone, when we are acting for our pride and ego. We are not God, and when we try to act like it, we are competing with the inbreaking of God's kingdom. The truth is, we already are beloved children of God. There is nothing we can do or say or achieve or acquire and buy to earn God's love. Grace was always the theological concept that confused me the most in seminary. I think it's because I have always assumed that it was a state of being that you arrived at. It was a finish line. Grace was the goal. But now I know grace is the starting point. It's where we are now. It's where we begin and begin again. So on our better days, when we notice our egos are shining light for themselves instead of for God, we can be gentle with ourselves. We can ask, why are you trying to shine? Do you want to feel loved and seen, appreciated, and secure? Are you afraid? And then we can tell ourselves, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't you remember that you're a child of God? You're already loved. God sees you. The God of all the cosmos notices you and loves you. Let your light shine before others so they may see and give glory to your Father in heaven. We start in grace as beloved children of God. And from that starting place, we discern what gifts and talents we have, those skills and connections and relationships that are unique to each one of us. We develop those gifts and use them for God. We shine by saying a kind word or by saying a hard truth in love, by listening to each other through acts of service. We can shine just by showing up and noticing. But most importantly, doing the work of discerning our gifts and using them to glorify God is not just a nice thing to do when we have the time. It's not an optional side quest. It's essential. It's the work of our lives. By not letting our lights shine for God, we are diminishing the light that shines in the darkness. And there is darkness in this world. Nature can bend towards chaos, brokenness, hurt, and injustice. Often because of those same egos, when left unchecked, they act out of fear. That's what happens when we don't do the hard spiritual work of remembering our belovedness daily. And the sum total of those egos acting out in fear plus a touch of chaos, it's a recipe for a great and powerful darkness. But God's light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Won't let Satan it out. I'm going to let it shine. On Friday night, I was driving back home from Camp Mitchell. I took Highway 10 back, which I usually only drive during the daytime. But being tired and out of habit, I took Highway 10 at night, and it was dark. I love that drive up to Camp Mitchell. I know that land to be some of the most beautiful land in the state. But even though I knew that in the darkness there was beautiful nature, just because I couldn't see it didn't mean it wasn't there. I was still driving through that beautiful land. But the darkness made me feel alone, and like the beauty wasn't there at all. Along that hour drive home, every now and then there would be a lamp post, a street light, or a light off in the distance. You know, the ones that give off that yellow-orange glare. They weren't as pretty as candlelight or as mystical as a sunset, but they were lights shining just enough to help me see my way through. One light would be there, and then some darkness. But soon on the horizon, another light would shine in, and then another, and then another. Let your light shine. You just might be the only lamppost shining for someone else going through a dark part of their journey. We will never be able to see ourselves shine through the eyes of others, but I promise someone has seen the light of God reflecting off of you, and you never even knew it. We shine by being God's hands and feet in this world. So this season of Epiphany, open our eyes to see God in this world. But don't forget to let your light shine so there's something for others with their open eyes to see too. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Amen.